There was a small town called Milford, and it sat between two green hills. A wide river ran through the middle of it, dividing the town into two halves. On one side, the houses were colorful and close together. Families grew flowers in their windows, and children played in the narrow streets. On the other side, there was a large open market where farmers sold fruits, vegetables, flour, and eggs every morning. An old wooden bridge connected the two sides. It had been built more than 100 years ago, and nobody remembered who built it. The wood was dark and tired. The railings were loose. Every time someone walked across it, the bridge made a low, groaning sound, like an old man getting up from his chair. People in the town said, "One day this bridge will fall," but they always said it while crossing to the other side, and when they arrived safely, they forgot about it until the next time. A young woman named Lina lived on the market side. She worked at a small bakery that her grandmother had started many years before. Every morning before the sun was high in the sky, Lina was already at work. She mixed flour and water, shaped the dough with her hands, and put the loaves in the oven. The smell of warm bread moved through the street like a kind invitation. People came from both sides of the bridge just to buy a loaf from her. Lina was known for being kind. When an old woman could not pay for her bread, Lina gave it to her anyway. When a child came in looking hungry, Lina always found something to share. She believed that food made people feel welcome, and she wanted her bakery to feel like home for everyone.
That evening, Lina told the people at the bakery about the broken board. 2 farmers were there, buying bread for their families. The baker who rented the shop next door was also there. "Someone needs to fix the bridge," Lina said. "It is dangerous." The first farmer shook his head. "I reported it to the mayor last spring," he said. "Nothing happened." The baker from next door said, "The mayor says there is no money. He says they will fix it next year." Lina pressed her lips together. "Next year," she repeated slowly. She walked home that evening feeling frustrated. She thought about Marta, who crossed the bridge every day to go to school. She thought about the older people who went to the market slowly with walking sticks. She thought about what would happen if the bridge broke while someone was on it. That thought made her feel cold. The next morning, Lina put a fresh loaf of bread in a cloth bag and walked to the other side of the river. She went up the small hill to the house where Thomas lived. She had never spoken to Thomas before, but everyone in town knew who he was. She knocked on the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then she heard slow footsteps, and the door opened. Thomas stood there looking at her with surprised eyes. He was tall but slightly bent. He had white hair and large hands. "Good morning," Lina said. She held up the bag. "I brought you bread. I am Lina from the bakery." Thomas looked at the bag, then at her. "I know who you are," he said. His voice was rough but not unkind. "Why are you here?" "Because I need your help," Lina said simply. Thomas looked even more surprised. He opened the door wider and let her in. They sat at his kitchen table. The house was clean but very quiet. There was a single cup on the table, a single plate by the sink. Lina noticed these things and said nothing. She told him about the broken board. She told him about her foot going through it. She told him about the children and the older people who used the bridge every day. Thomas listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said, "I heard about the bridge. Everyone has heard about it." "But the mayor says next year," Lina said. "I don't think we can wait." Thomas was quiet for a moment. He looked at his hands on the table. "I am old," he said. "My hands are not what they were. I am not sure I can do that kind of work anymore." "You don't have to do it alone," Lina said. "I will help you. I am strong and I can learn. You just need to tell me what to do." Thomas looked at her carefully, then out the window toward the river. "Have you ever worked with wood before?" "No," Lina said honestly, "but I bake bread every day, and I was not born knowing how to do that either." The corner of Thomas's mouth moved upward. It was a small smile, but it was there. "All right," he said, "let us go and look at the bridge first." They walked down to the bridge together. Thomas moved slowly but steadily. When they reached the broken board, he got down on one knee, carefully, with some effort, and looked at it closely. He pressed the wood on either side of the hole with his fingers. He checked the beams underneath. He walked the full length of the bridge, looking down, sometimes crouching, sometimes knocking on the wood with his knuckle and listening to the sound it made.
"4 boards need to be replaced," he said when he was done. "Maybe 5. And one of the support beams has started to rot. That is the most important one to fix." "Can we do it?" Lina asked. "Yes," Thomas said. There was something different in his voice now. It was steadier, more certain. "We will need oak wood, strong, dry oak, and good nails, the long kind." "Where do we get those?" "There is a wood supplier in the village over the hill," Thomas said. "I know the man. He will give us a fair price." "I will pay for the wood," Lina said. Thomas looked at her. "That is a lot of money." "It is less money than a funeral," Lina said quietly. Thomas said nothing, but he nodded. They started working 2 days later. The wood arrived in a cart, and Thomas directed everything. He could not lift the heavy pieces himself, but he knew exactly where each board should go, how long it should be, and how deep the nails should go. He showed Lina how to measure twice before cutting. He showed her how to hold the saw steady. He showed her how to drive a nail without bending it. Lina was not perfect at first. She bent 3 nails. She cut one board a little too short, but Thomas was patient. He did not get angry. He simply showed her again, more slowly. "You are learning faster than most," he said on the second day. "Is that true?" Lina asked, wiping sweat from her forehead. "No," Thomas said, "but it might be true by next week." Lina laughed. It was the first time she had laughed in several days. On the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. Marta came by after school and stopped on the bridge, watching them work. Her eyes were wide and interested. "What are you doing?" asked Marta. "Fixing the bridge," Lina said. "You walk across this bridge every day, do you not?" "Yes," Marta said. "I saw the crack a long time ago. I told my father, but he said someone else would take care of it." Thomas looked up at her. "Do you want to help?" Marta put down her school bag immediately. "Yes." Thomas handed her a brush and a tin of dark protective oil. "Paint this on the old boards, on the sides and underneath where you can reach. It will protect the wood from the rain." Marta got to work. She was careful and thorough, and she did not miss a single board. By the end of the week, other people had noticed. A farmer named Henrik passed by on his way to the market and stopped. He watched for a moment, then put down his bags. "Do you need nails?" he asked. "I have a whole box at home." "We would be grateful," Thomas said.
The next day, Henrik came back with the nails and brought his brother. A teacher from the school came with 2 older students on a Saturday morning and helped carry the heavy boards. An elderly woman brought sandwiches and hot soup for everyone. She said she could not lift wood, but she could make sure nobody went hungry. Even the mayor appeared one afternoon. He took off his coat, rolled up his sleeves, and said, "Tell me what to do." Thomas told him. The mayor did it without complaint. It took 2 weeks in total. The work was not easy. There were cold days when the wind made everyone's hands stiff, and days when a board had to be removed and cut again. There were small arguments, but nobody gave up. On the final day, Thomas fitted the last new board into place and drove in the last nail. He stood up slowly, holding his back. Everyone who was there was quiet. He walked to the center of the bridge and put his hand on the new railing. He stamped his foot on the boards. They held perfectly. No creak, no groan. He looked up at the sky. His eyes were bright and wet at the edges. Lina came and stood beside him. "How does it feel?" Lina asked. "Different," Thomas said. "Good different." He paused. "I had forgotten what it feels like to finish something." The town held a small celebration that same afternoon. Someone brought a fiddle and played it at one end of the bridge. People brought food and shared it on the new wooden surface. Children ran back and forth across the bridge, laughing at the solid sound their feet made. Marta stood in the middle of the bridge with Thomas and Lina. She looked down through the new boards at the river below. "The water is the same," she said. "Yes," Thomas said, "but the bridge is better." Marta nodded. "I think the people are better too," she said. Thomas looked at her for a moment. Then he laughed, a real, full laugh that surprised everyone nearby, including himself. After the celebration, as people were walking home on both sides of the river, Thomas turned to Lina. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Of course," Lina said. "Why did you come to me? There were other people in the town, younger people." Lina thought about it for a moment. "Because you understood wood," she said, "and because I think you needed a reason to use what you know." Thomas was quiet. Then he said, "You were right." In the weeks that followed, Thomas began teaching. He set up a small workshop in his garden and invited anyone who wanted to learn. Marta came every week after school. 2 older students came on Saturdays. Even Henrik's brother, who had helped with the bridge, came to learn how to build a new cabinet for his kitchen. Thomas's tools were no longer just clean and sharp. They were being used. Every morning now, Thomas walked across the bridge to Lina's bakery. He always bought the same thing, a small round loaf of brown bread. And every morning, as he walked across, he put his hand on one of the new boards for just a moment, not to check if it was solid. He already knew it was. He did it because it reminded him that things which seem too broken to be fixed are often just waiting for someone to begin. The bridge was fixed, but something else had been fixed too, something that nobody had planned and nobody could fully explain, but that everyone in Milford could feel when they walked from one side to the other. They felt it in the solid boards beneath their feet. They felt it in the way they nodded to each other. They felt it in the way Thomas smiled when he saw Marta coming, school bag on her back, ready to learn. A bridge is built to carry people across water, but the best bridges carry something more than that.